The open-ended section, so there's 10 questions over here, so I'll go through this part. So John observe and group some things in the table below. We have A and we have B. Okay, so over here A is you have giraffe, B mushroom, then B you have rock, clock, and pencil. The suitable heading will be your A will be definitely living things, while B will be non-living thing. Okay, so the diagram below shows a life cycle of a cockroach. You got the egg, then you got Y, and you got Z. This one, Y will be the nymph. Okay, the name is spelled in the name is spelled in this way. Okay, state other animal that have a similar life cycle as a grasshopper. So there is a few answers that you can write. You can write grasshopper. I think you can write chicken as well as frog. Okay, these are the three animals apart from cockroach have 3 stages in their life cycles. Okay, so the diagram below shows a life cycle of mosquito. Okay, and they show you the egg, the larva. Normally, sometimes they also call the wriggler. Then we got the pupa, and you got the adult. Okay, and you notice one thing. Okay, the 3 stage, or rather the young, they live in water. Okay, the adult can live on land, and they will return back to the water when they need to lay eggs. So it's trying to tell you one thing: the mosquito need water to lay egg, or at least need water to lay eggs. So this is a concept that you need to know. Explain why the number of mosquito in the environment decreases. Why there's less mosquito, okay, during certain months when there's less rainfall. So you have to think, less rainfall means what? Less rainfall means less water. If there's less water, there is less places for the mosquito to lay eggs. So if there's less eggs, then there will be less eggs that will be hatched into an adult. So this could be a thought process. So you can say there will be less rainfall, will result in less places for adult to lay eggs. Okay, so fewer eggs will be hatched and develop into fewer adults. Okay, so the key portion is this: less rainfall, less place for the mosquito to lay eggs, fewer eggs hatch into fewer adults. Okay, if you want, you can just write fewer eggs will hatch into fewer adults. That will be good enough. Okay, state 2 ways in which mosquito larva is different from pupa. So number 1, the mosquito larva will eat a lot, while pupa does not. Okay, the larva also molts a few times, while pupa does not. Okay, so over here you have to recognize that you have to recognize eating and molting is characteristics of a larva. Okay, I think most of you will write something like this. They will larva move while pupa does not. This is not true. Okay, the pupa actually does move. Okay, this is not true. So this is incorrect. The pupa does move because it actually have one breathing tube that's attached at the head over here. So sometimes they may have to move their breathing tube a little bit if there is some obstruction or some branches that is blocking them, or they may sometimes have to move to another place if there's some disturbance over here. So they don't move, but they move very rarely. Okay, if the place or the environment is very suitable, they probably won't move a lot. They will just stay and remain there until they become an adult. Okay, so this is not true. They will still move if it is required. Okay, explain how does laying many eggs each time helps the mosquito to continue its life cycle. So this is a 2-mark question. Okay, there's actually quite a few things that you need to be able to write down or actually recognize. So laying many eggs, right, will ensure that even if some of them are eaten by predators, okay, but predators is an organism that will feed on another animal as food. So the other eggs will hatch and develop in the adult. So if you lay one egg, and that egg get eaten, then there will be no adult. Then there will be no there will be nothing to continue the life cycle. So if you lay many, let's say you lay 50 eggs, if 25 of them is being eaten, you still have 25 of them to continue the life cycle. Okay, so this over here is more or less like a standard answer. So laying many eggs ensure that even if some of them they are being eaten by predators, there will still be other eggs that will hatch and develop into adult, which can reproduce and continue the whole life cycle itself. Okay, so let's move on to other part. So for number 28, the diagram shows how Mary sees the ball. Okay, so the light from the light source hit the ball and it get reflected into Mary's eye. So the light, the lamp is the light source. Yeah, yes, a few helping words. And the light is reflected by the ball into Mary's eyes, so that she can actually see the balls. Okay, so over here he drew the life cycle of butterfly. As you know, butterfly have 4 stages in its life cycle. So definitely this one is wrong. And this question is a question that asks you to identify why is it wrong. Okay, so the teacher said life cycle was drawn wrongly or incorrect. Explain why. So basically, you can say the butterfly has 4 stages just in its life cycle. Okay, that will be good enough. Okay, so state 1, similarity and differences between the life cycle of a butterfly as well as a frog. So the butterfly and the frog, right, both has an egg stage. Okay, so both of them must lay eggs. Both lay eggs. Okay, so frog itself, right, is 3 stage, while butterfly is a 4 stage life cycle. Okay, so that can be your differences. So you can say butterfly has 4 stages in its life cycle. Wow, frog has 3 stages in its life cycle. Okay, so this could be one of the key differences that you can point out. James placed a metal rod and a wooden rod into a tank of boiling water. So he's trying to tell you this water is very hot. Okay, equal amount of wax is placed at the top of the rock. So what would he observe and why? He will probably observe that the wax over here, right, will drop or melt faster. This one will also melt, but this one will melt slower. Okay, so the wax on the metal rod will melt faster than the wax on the wooden rod, as metal is a better. Okay, over here it must be you must use comparative adjective. Okay, because you are comparing between the two material itself, which one is both of them they do conduct heat, but one of them conduct better than the other one, and metal is the one that does it better. That's why you will see that the wax on the metal rod actually melt faster, so the heat will actually travel or transfer up all the way to the top. This one will also do it in this way, but this one do it slower, metal do it faster. So markers place two ring magnet A and B through a holder as shown. So the holder was plastic and it did not attract. So the key is did not attract because plastic is a non-magnetic material. That's why it did not attract. Why was A floating? That is because the light poles are facing each other and they repel each other. Magnet B repel magnet A. Okay, that's why it is floating on top. Okay, the diagram below shows the human digestive systems. So over here, S shows the stomach, while T shows the small intestine. This is something that at this stage you probably would have recognized. Intestine. So state 2 function. So number 1, the function is to break down food into simpler substances. That would be the definition of digestion. Okay, number 2, the digestive system, right, not only they digest, they also absorb. Absorb what? Absorb digested food and water into the bloodstream. Okay, absorb digested food and water into the bloodstream to be used by the body. Okay. Sam ate a bowl of noodle. After 4 hours, the doctor measured the amount of digested food in different parts of the digestive system. So S being the stomach, T is the small intestine. Do recall that. So the graph shows the amount of digested food at various parts. So this is the amount of digested food, not undigested. So it is within the organ itself. So you this part have to be you have to be very clear on what they are measuring or what is the axis is about. Is it digested or undigested? Parts of digestive system, basically this part is organ. Okay, then they ask you the amount of undigested food increase between part S and part T. Explain why. Okay, so over here, how come T will have more digested food? It's because T has more digestive juice. Okay, so you can say T has more digestive juice than S, so more food is being digested at T than S. Okay, this could be one. Okay, this could be one way that you want to explain. Another way that I explain, right, is could be right T, because it's a small intestine, right, and you recognize S is the stomach. Actually, for the amount of time the food that is spending on the stomach, right, is actually there is less time spent in the stomach, while the food, right, because you have to travel through a long passage, right, the food actually spend more time. So another way to explain this is the food spend more time in T as compared to S, so more food is being digested. So this is another way you can explain it. So the food spend more time in T than S, so more food is being digested in T than S. So that's why you have a greater amount of digested food in T as compared to S. So the key is more. Okay, so either of these answer is fine. Okay, the diagram shows you a picture of a mouth. So usually the mouth have three organs. The teeth, the saliva, as well as the tongue. The tongue, it rolls food into a ball so that you can swallow it through the gullet more easily. The teeth is usually to chew the food into smaller pieces, not simple substance. And the saliva, it comprises of two things: the water and the digestive juices. So it can do what? It can moist the food so that it can be swollen more easily. And the other one is to digest food into simpler substances. Okay? So the teeth is really to break down food into smallest pieces. Okay, so for A, right, this is actually the teeth. Okay, and the function is this: break down food into smaller pieces, not simple substance. Let me write down: not simple substance. That's a difference. And B will be your saliva. Okay, is to moist food so that it can be swollen more easily. Moist the food to make it soft for it to be swollen easily. So this could be one part. Okay, Mr. Lee set out an experiment below. You have A, B, and C. Okay, and you have blue color of water that has been observed, and this blue color water seems to go up the strip. Okay, or not. This one, it did not go up. Okay, he placed the 3 strips into of different material into the container of blue color water from the same distance, trying to tell you that I'm trying to answer a fair test. After 3 minutes, he observed that the height of the water rose in each material. So the measurement is the height of the water rose. And that will be, this part is actually your measured variable. Okay, this over here will be your change variable. Okay, the type of material. Based on the experiment state, the property, Mr. Lee was trying to find out what is the property he's trying to test. Okay, after you do this, right, you get the result whether the material is it absorbent or whether is it waterproof. So he's trying to find out the absorbency of the material or the waterproofness of the material. Okay, so this one, absorbency or waterproofness. Okay, so over here they are asking you for a noun, not adjective. Adjective will be state the property of material C. Material will be the most absorbent. In this case, of all, material C will be the most absorbent because you can see that the height of the water travel the highest. Okay, state another measurement Mr. Lee could have made for each strip to conclude the property stated in A. So in this case, right, they are really asking you, right, other than finding the height of the water rose in each material, what is another way that I can also find out the waterproofness or the absorbency of the material? Okay, another way is to look at the mass of the strip, whether did it change or not. So you can say mass of the strip before and after the experiment. Okay, there's no other better way to look at this. Okay, this question is asking you how to measure the results. Okay, if you want to know which one is the most absorbent, you want to know which one is the waterproof one, how do I know the result? Okay, is to take the mass, because if the strip absorb water, the mass would have increased. If the strip did not absorb water, the mass would have remained the same. So let me give you this part example. So if the mass remains the same, so this means that the material is waterproof. Okay, so if the mass increases, so it means that the material is absorbent. It absorbs water to a certain extent. So based on the result, which material is most suitable to make a bath towel? As you know, the bath towel must be absorbent. That's the reason why you use the bath towel. There's a way to write this. Okay? This is the part where you have to use your choice, evidence, and reasoning. The choice is C. Okay, material C. And the evidence is that you can use this. The height of the water rose in C the most. It rose, but not. A also rose, but this one rose the most. Okay, so you can do it this way. The height of the water rose in the material in C the most. So it is the most absorbent. Then you conclude that it is the most absorbent. So for the reasoning, you can say a bath towel should be made of the absorbent material. Absorbent material should be made of an absorbent material. So this is actually how you can apply this to answer this question. So Brandon heat 3 material J, K and L to 90 degrees. So they are trying to tell you I heat them to the same temperature and record the temperature for each of the 3 material in the next 30 minutes. Okay. The graph shows a change in temperature after they were left to cool. So you can see all of them the temperature decreases. So it must show you all of the material lose heat. Okay, because it was left to cool, so it must lose heat to the surrounding. Okay. So you have a time temperature graph. This is a starting point for J and K. And you notice that K starts somewhere here. A little bit strange because it should be at 90. It should start at here, but it did not. Okay, so one of the graph or one of the line is drawn wrongly. Which one is drawn wrongly? Okay, that will be material L. Because you can just mention it should the starting temperature should be 90. (90°C). It is not at here. That's why it is wrong. Okay. After the material is left to cool for 3 hours, Brandon measured the temperature of the material and found that they were the same. Okay, so if it's left to cool for an extended period of time, they will reach to the same temperature, and this temperature will be the room temperature. So this is how I actually explain this part. So there's 2 ways to explain this. The 3 material, they lose heat to the surrounding air because it was left to cool. Until there's no more heat flow, That is because there is no longer a temperature difference between the material itself and the surrounding. So they would have already reached the room temperature. So if you want to use the idea of room temperature, this is how you could have explained. They lose heat to the surrounding and the temperature decrease until they reach room temperature. It is also fine. Okay, both way of explaining is also fine. Just stick to one of the way. So Brandon would like to bring some cold drinks on a picnic, right? So between which material is more suitable, J and K, right? So the reason why they did not ask you to choose L, it is because L is already drawn wrongly. So you need to only compare between J and K. So if you have a cold drink, let me draw it in blue color. And let me assign cold drinks. Okay, let me assign some numbers. So this will probably be at 5 degrees. And you put them into a container, the surrounding is probably at 30 degrees. So over here, the heat always flow from a higher temperature to a lower temperature. The heat will be flowing in. Right? Heat will be flowing in. So the drinks itself will gain heat from surrounding. Okay, and what you're going to do, you're going to slow down this process. You're going to slow down this process. And how do you do that? You must choose a poorer conductor of heat in order for you to do that. Okay, so between J and K, right, how do you know which one is a poorer conductor? You look at the graph. Okay, so take a look, this part, at a certain point, let's say at 25 degrees, this is how much the temperature has dropped. Okay, let me use this part. Okay, so you can see that, let me use red color. This is how much the temperature has dropped for J. And this is how much the temperature has dropped for K. Can you see that J, the temperature decrease but slower? That is because the material lose heat slower. So if that's the case, this must be poorer conductor of heat than K. K is the better conductor of heat. Okay, so this is actually how you can explain this part. So between these two, we will definitely choose J, so sorry, because J is the poorer conductor of heat. So you can use this. So over here, you can choose material J, and the evidence is that the temperature of the material decrease slower. So it must tell you that it is a poorer conductor of heat. So this part is the evidence that you quote from the graph. This part is the inference that you come up from here. So the temperature of the material decrease lower, so it must be a poorer conductor of heat. The reasoning must be applied to cold drinks. So you can say when you place the cold drinks inside this material J, it will slow down the heat gain by the cold drink from the surrounding. So you can say J will slow down heat gain by the cold drinks from the surrounding. Okay, slow down heat gain by the cold drinks from where? Okay, so that will be the heat transfer. Slow down portion come from using a poor conductor of heat. Knowing why is J a poor conductor of heat come from recognizing that the temperature of the material decrease lower. So this is the how you link up every portion together, and this is usually the part that is a little bit more tougher because you have to look and describe from the graph itself over here, this part. Okay, so let's move on to this question. So Luke carried out an investigation in a dark room to study the shadow formed on the screen based on 4 different material, and the material of same size thickness. So it's trying to tell you that it's trying to ensure a fair test. That's why they see same size thickness. They don't want the thickness or the size of material to affect the darkness of the shadow. So he recorded his observation over here. Okay, so you got RS TU. So over here, R is very dark, then no shadow, dark. Not dark and dark. So over here, the one that has a darker shadow, this is the one that's the darkest. Okay, so over here you probably know that it blocks most light. That's why it will result a darker shadow. The one that is lightest, or it block the least light, it will be this. Okay, so if I were to assign numbers, I will say this one will be the darkest, followed by this, followed by not dark, followed by this. So over here, 1, what does it mean by 1? 1, it means that the bar over here will be the, if I were to relate back to this. Okay, so if you have a darkest shadow and you block the most light, that means when the light pass through this R, you have the least light detected. Okay, because this thing will block the most light. Okay, so if I were to do this, then R will have the lowest bar that is related over here. Okay, so this will be R. So if I were to work this out and were to fill in the boxes, right, this will be how it looks like. Number 1 is the shortest bar, followed by number 2, number 3, and number 4. So if I were to do this, this one will be number 1, this one is number 2, this one is number 3, and number 4. Then I will just assign the letters accordingly. So this number 2 will be U. Okay, number 3 will be T. Number 3 will be T. Number 4 will be S. And this is how I get the results based on the observation of the shadow alone. Okay, so being the darkest shadow, right, block the most light, so you have least light detected. So this one is R. So being if you don't see any shadow, it means that it blocked the least light. So chances are you have the most light detected. That's why you have most light detected. That's why you have the tallest bar. Okay, so or in another word, S allowed the most light pass through. Most light to pass through. Okay. So over here, Luke wanted to construct a mini bottle garden with plants that grow well in a sunny and warm environment. Which material would be the most suitable to make the container? Explain your answer. So if you understand that these are plants will need light to grow. So in order for the plant to do well, you must definitely choose a material that allows the most light to pass through. Because if the plant can get a lot of light, it will make a lot of food. Then the plant can then grow well. So this part over here, let me write this part. Now the choice over here is this part. You will choose S. The evidence because it allowed the most light to be detected by the sensor. Okay? Allowed the most light to pass through. Okay, so the reasoning, the plant can make the most food. Okay, so therefore the plant is able to do well. Okay. Okay, or maybe I would rewrite this part. So the plants can trap the most like to make the most food. Okay, recall that to the function of plant. Most light, trap the most light to make the most food. Therefore, the plants will be able to grow well. So I think this is the part of this is the end of the section. Okay, thank you very much.